Hey there, it's Mary Sheila. Welcome to the BioYouth Labs YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about 3 reasons why you might want to rethink your gluten intake when it comes to supporting your thyroid gland and gaining back your optimal function of your thyroid. And this is just one of the videos in a series of videos that I am creating for you to support you in supporting your thyroid gland with a whole holistic approach. And this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart because thyroid dysfunction is something that's part of my family lineage. So it's something I'm paying attention to as much as I can to support my thyroid with all of the aspects of my life when it comes to sleep and what I eat and how mindful I am about my food, my stress levels, my gut health, all of my body talking to me, my body's sign language, so that I make the best choices day in and day out and do the best I can to support not just my thyroid, but my whole hormonal system. So in this video, I'm going to share 3 reasons why you might want to rethink your gluten intake. And we will continue this conversation in future videos, and you can check out some of the past videos on the thyroid gland. So please be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications as I continue to share and teach more. So when it comes to your thyroid gland, we want to make sure that the body is not going after it and attacking it in any way. We also know that in a thyroid condition that is autoimmune, which would either be Hashimoto's thyroiditis or Graves' disease, it means the immune system is attacking the thyroid tissue. So we want to eliminate the triggers that could upregulate the immune system and cause this attack. We also know that in most autoimmune conditions, the beginning stages of when the immune system is upregulated has a lot to do with the health of our GI tract or our gut. And we want to support the gut as best we can. We know that 70% of our immune system lives in the gut. And it makes sense. We eat food and our immune system has to check out everything we're putting in to make sure that it is okay and acceptable and not going to harm the body. And if the body sees it as harmful, then we will mount an immune response and go after whatever it is that we've put in. Another thing you want to think about when it comes to your gut is it's like plumbing. From when food comes in your mouth one way and out the other end, it is intact in its plumbing, and only things that are allowed to come out are allowed to come out. Sort of like you turn on the faucet and the water comes out and you turn it off. It shouldn't be dripping. It should stop coming out. In the case of gluten, we do know that it can be very inflammatory. As humans, when we started eating gluten, we didn't just take the wheat berry and turn it into a flour and make a tortilla with it. We actually fermented it with the natural bacteria in the air to turn it into a sourdough or a fermented bread, because then it was pre-digested. It was easier to break down. We now know with science that when we ingest gluten, almost all of us will have somewhat of an inflammatory response, and some of us even more of an inflammatory response, depending on our genetics and our lifestyle and our ability to break down and use gluten as a food source. So if we are ingesting gluten on a regular basis and it is creating inflammation, there is a chance we could wear down the lining of the gut or the lining of our pipes and our plumbing and eventually spring a leak and have something that's called leaky gut. In this case, food molecules that are not completely broken down are going to exit the GI tract before they're ready, and the immune system is even going to be more heightened on alert and go after those larger molecules, creating more of an inflammatory cascade in the body. And one thing that we do know is that gluten, or another molecule like gluten called gliadin, is something the immune system will go after if we're not tolerating the wheat very well. We know that gliadin looks very much like transglutamase, which is what we call molecular mimicry. This is an enzyme that is very abundant in our thyroid gland. So what can happen for some people is that when they eat gluten, the immune system is heightened. We create a lot of antibodies. We go after the gliadin and end up attacking our own thyroid. We cannot differentiate the gliadin and the transglutaminase. So that becomes a problem. So many people find when they lower or eliminate their gluten intake, their antibody levels come down, and the antibodies that are attacking the thyroid also start to come down, and they get relief from their symptoms. So knowing this, especially if the thyroid condition is an autoimmune condition, which we don't always know unless we are tested specifically for that with thyroid antibody tests, just simply eliminating gluten can create better health in the gut, less inflammation in the gut, and better thyroid function because the thyroid is not being attacked by our own immune system. Another reason you might want to reconsider your gluten intake is ask yourself this: when you're choosing to eat gluten, is it really a nutrient-dense, healthy food choice that you're making? Oftentimes gluten comes as a flour, right? As a bread or a pastry or a cracker. So it's very high glycemic and can affect our blood sugar balance. And when wheat berries are processed, what is often left of the throughout that process is not the vitamins and the minerals and the protein and the fiber from the wheat itself, the wheat berry. It's mostly just the starch. So it's very high in sugar and very low in nutrients. And we often add things like sugar and different things to make it taste yummy, right? I mean, I know it can taste really good, but is it really a good healthful choice? And I say this because the thyroid gland actually needs a lot of vitamins and minerals to do its job that is it has to do all the time. So we want to be making the best food choices we can that are nutrient dense and are going to nourish and soothe and fill the thyroid up with the vitamins and minerals it needs so it can protect itself, so it can create good thyroid hormones and output what the body needs for survival. Another reason you might want to reconsider your gluten intake and also really pay attention to the quality of gluten you're taking in is to know, is it organic? Now, this is a really important piece of the puzzle because today, a lot of farmers, if it's not organic, might be finishing their harvest with glyphosate. They spray the wheat that is still in the ground with glyphosate, which kills the wheat. But that means it also hardens the berries so that it is a quicker production of harvest. So it's a time saver, which means it's a money saver. Also means that we're going to be ingesting a lot more glyphosate. And unfortunately, pesticides and herbicides are really hard on our hormonal system. They can really wreak havoc on our hormonal system altogether, and they can mimic hormones and they can mimic estrogens, and they're even drawn to our fatty glands like the thyroid gland. And we found that the glyphosate can even poke holes in the digestive tract and create that leaky gut. So if you don't know if the wheat that you're eating is organic or not, it might be a good idea to make a different choice. This reminds me of something that I read from Michael Pollan years ago. And he says, if you really, really want something or craving something, make it yourself. So when you make something yourself, you might even be able to grind your own wheat berries. And you might know that they're organic. You might be able to soak them and sprout them or maybe ferment them first before you go to make something. And you might think, oh my gosh, well, that would take so much time. But that's part of the point, is you aren't going to eat it all the time. You're not going to make those special things every single day, day in and day out. You're going to make them once in a while. And all of a sudden, you're going to be eating a lot less. So you might be listening to this and think, oh my gosh, I eat gluten products and wheat products 3 or 4 times a day, or at least once every day, or I hardly eat them at all anymore. And I've noticed a huge difference. And I would love to hear where you stand on the gluten spectrum. But ultimately, I think anytime we hear something and it resonates for us to make a shift or to make a change, it's about saying, what can I do differently now? Maybe you're having it 3 or 4 times a day, and you could say, you know what, I'm going to minimize it to 1 or 2 times a day. I'm going to start there, and then I'm going to work from that point, and then I can make another change in a couple weeks. Or you might hear this and you might say, wow, I didn't realize that. I am so motivated. I'm going to just cold turkey it. Or you might say, yeah, I do like my things every once in a while, but maybe I'll make them the next time, and I'll make sure I source good wheat products, and I'll really minimize that in my diet. So there's lots of ways you can approach this. You can, right? It just depends on how motivated you are and your resources. But it's empowering to know that when you're caring for the thyroid, there's so many great things we can do to support it. And I will be sharing more thyroid tips as we go. So you could support your thyroid with a holistic approach, which is really what it boils down to. It's not about one thing we do, it's about everything we do. So thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear what you think about this video, so please comment below, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much.